before we start, in the room, just by a show of hands, who works directly with colleagues in the MENA region, out of interest? Yeah. Yeah, a few. Okay, great. Good to see. Both of you, welcome. Filiz, I saw you busy taking notes during Michuki's presentation. Were there things that that struck a chord with you, like relatable to some extent?
Totally. I think we can keep this pretty short because he said everything I wanted to say. So no, I'll add my bit. But yeah, I totally resonate in what he said.
Can you give an example? What's
Well, yeah, quickly, he talked about partnerships. That's very important. And I want to dig in a bit on the pipes and cables and stuff, you know, not only the soft partnership side of things, but really internet is the net of nets, right? It's the combination of nets. It's an ecosystem. You can bring IXP on its own, will not work if there is not a neutral data center. You can bring a neutral data center if the ISPs or the eyeballs are not there in the first place, more than one, or they do not cooperate. Again, that will not work. You can build an IXP, you can put the two ISPs in, but if they are not peering and exchanging traffic, again, cooperation meaning interconnection in our vocabulary, then it won't work. So this whole thing about, since the beginning of internet, we started with tiers and, you know, certain ISPs providing network services downwards. But in today's world, it is not like that now. That market has grown, right? We have more players. People want to control their network because internet became the infrastructure. Now, right? Banks use it. That's why governments are looking at it. So the resiliency of internet and the latency and the size of the pipes and the bandwidth and how fast they can go is a very important matter. And it's an ecosystem. And that ecosystem only works with partnership and collaboration.
Yeah. Yeah, and about the resilience, what are the ingredients that go into making one country more resilient than another? I was struck by the resiliency map that you shared. Like most of Africa is green, around the 35%, but Benin seemed to be a bit higher. And is that, in your experience, what do you think goes into making one country?
This is again coming back where I'm coming from. I'm coming from a little island, it's called Bahrain. She's in the Gulf. It's again what every country trying to do, become the hub, or the ingredients that are required to become a hub. There could be some competition in there. But again, one of the most important, I think it's been talked about, is the connectivity, whether it's within the country or beyond the country, that's going outside the country. The data centers, the power, all the stuff that is making the connectivity, definitely regulation and the prices. And all these ingredients will help to become as the digital hub or being in the right society, as you mentioned. That's why now the Gulf is becoming a new digital hub for our region, at least, because of the ingredients are there somehow. Okay, so this is, I think, maybe we can talk about them. Just maybe some of you are aware of few announcements that's made in the last few weeks. One, Microsoft, announced a $1.5 billion investment in AI with G42. G42 is a company in Abu Dhabi. It's a semi-government. They are into cybersecurity. They were also into the Sinopharm, for COVID vaccine. Yeah, those ones. They have acquired all the data centers from local operators, the Etisalat, from called Khazna. So they're gone to the data centers. Also, there was an announcement, Saudi, again, a couple of, almost a month ago, about a $5.3 billion investment by AWS. I was part of the team negotiating on behalf of the government. We were the first region of AWS in Bahrain, small island. Then they did UAE, and now in Saudi, 5.3 billion. Also, IBM, others also, they have announced around $500 million investment. So those all, why is it coming? Because again, loss of cables, maybe you will talk about them, is going to come out. So a lot of investments happening there, a lot of data movements happening within the country and beyond the country. Definitely we have challenges, what's happening in Yemen, what's happening The north sides, all stuff, it is important. So another interesting that I've heard about the AI and so on, there are lots of now RFPs floating in our region. Now there's one RFP they're asking for 21 terabits from Europe going to Saudis going to Kuwait. That is definitely for what they're building is more of AI, which is we are part of that as well. So that means a lot of investment, a lot of this. If you don't have the ingredients, that they will not come.
Yeah.
So regulation and all stuff.
Okay, so the interconnectivity landscape is definitely like accelerating, it's changing a lot. Are there, Filiz, are there things that we can deduce about how the region deals with those developments as opposed to, I don't know, over here, the West, although that's also a bit evolving concept?
And I think Adel may add more on that. But basically, focusing on Middle East is some of the infrastructure is there. However, that region is also known to have problems in partnerships. That you can create the digital hub, you can bring the subsea cable, right? You have to make a decision there. Am I going to be a pass-through or am I going to pick it up, like Michuki saying, am I going to branch it out turn it into terrestrial? And that needs investment. And with that, the local community will flourish, but also now this is being said, internet has no borders. Your local content is often from a global provider, right? Mm-hmm. You need to bring incentives for that global provider to serve locally to your own users.
Because simply put, terrestrial is less profitable.
For who?
Yeah. I mean,
exactly.
Why is there less investment in it?
Because the connectivity traditionally is picked from the edges of Middle East, and that is brought to inside. It has a price tag. Initially, if you serve it locally, that will erode the pricing. Right. Now, that is like making your maybe slice of cake smaller, but in 3 years' time, 5 years' time, you become a hub then, if you allow that, if you flourish that. You let the global players come in, serve locally, and then they invest. So if you lower the barrier for them to come in, everybody benefits in that interconnection hub. So one thing important though, this doesn't happen on its own, right? I'm talking about lowering the barriers, and this is really important in connection with the positive regulation. And I think in Middle East region recently there has been more activity towards there to some of the extent what Mushiki was saying as well. We see examples of it, UAE, United Arab Emirates, becoming a hub. Oman is opening up. We see other subsea cables coming in, and partnerships are being announced. Zoe International now announced recently with Saudi Arabia to work both subsea cable and terrestrial. So these are very good incentives, and there is a lot to do on the regulation level. If you don't incentivize the players to do this, then you extend that growth time. Yeah. And just as an example, there are different methods, of course, in place. There's no silver bullet in this. However, internet follows that open economy idea and collaboration, right? It is that kind of technology. This is why you see in Amsterdam, Frankfurt, London, it flourished since the beginning because the economy was open, people collaborated, people were happy to connect in neutral data centers. Yeah. So that's a critical part.
About the regulation here, what's happening now, the big five in the cloud and all that, they are playing big role in putting pressure on the governments in the region. For example, that's why the price is coming down. 3 years ago, it's 2018 when I was involved. 100 gig, similar to the Africa, 100 gig from the region, from anywhere within the region, small. You talk about $200,000, $300,000 a month. Yeah.
6 years ago.
Yeah, around 2018, yeah, okay. And I remember I was sitting with the ministers and AWS, everybody were in the round table, and they were comparing, okay, we want the prices from London to New York is the $10,000. So we want 10,000, so $300,000 to $10,000. And keep in mind, we are in the islands that we have only limited number of cables. That is, Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, there's only few shallow water, and so on. So that's what terrestrial played a big role for us for interconnection. Now, because of this pressure now, the prices that what you're talking about, 3 digits, is now in low level of 2 digits. This is number one. The second one is the regulators, they came up now in Bahrain, for example, we have the data reservation is like embassy status. So now if you have Chinese data in the Bahrain, there were the rules of China, well, not Bahrain. So if it's American, it's American. So that is now, there is public, by the way, you can go on the site, you can see it. Now the other governments within the Gulf is trying to do the same, because now everybody's trying to, they become a hub, how to do it, especially small countries like us. So the regulation is now, those really, to be frank, they pushed big time and helping a lot, and even the prices. But still we have some challenges. Again, if we can talk about the challenges later on, but it's, yeah.
But is that, I mean, this is a phrase that I heard Peter use earlier when we were talking about compartmentalization of the internet, the Chinese internet, the US internet, European splinternet. It sounds problematic, no?
It is.
To me, as an outsider to this.
Yeah, you're not doing a favor to your economy or to your own people if you cut that. Having said that's about your vision and focus, right? In my opinion, and this is the reason I got into this business, I love internet, I love information, and I love building infrastructure. Internet is like water, interconnection and connectivity. It finds its way. So I'm a true believer of that, and innovation and new young people finding new ways of doing things. We all here kind of like come from the cable and the BGP and the data center sector, right? The new generation is born into this. To them, when you talk about internet, they say, oh yeah, that's Instagram to me. What do you mean internet, right? They are demanding that. So I believe there will be more consolidation in that area, while we have more players in the system.
More competition.
More competition, but also collaboration.
Yeah.
Because you can collaborate while you compete.
Yeah. And thinking about, I love the metaphor of the water. Where are we going to end up? What's on the horizon, do you think? What excites you in terms of the developments we're likely to see in the MENA?
Yeah. So for me, there is a lot of, like I said, the market is on its own is growing, right? It's not traditionally, I'm a network service provider, you're an integrator, right? You have customers, you're an IX, we just do internet things and some people use that. It doesn't work like that anymore. There are enterprises moving into this space. There is trading lines moving into this space. These are important things, and countries' economies rely on internet infrastructure now. So the users, professional users, this becoming a utility, that users of that technology is expanding. They want more control in it. Then comes the security. More data and more responsive data comes in. Somebody mentioned it's important to, how we secure this. And this goes more, and we had COVID, you mentioned that at the beginning, what we saw there, people tend to move from an CapEx model to OpEx model. It's not you building with your gear physical infrastructure, but maybe finding a virtual solution for the same problem that you are trying to solve. So there is a tendency going towards there. With all this, what I think we will be hearing more about network automation. We will be hearing more private interconnect and being close to technology partners of an institution. This can be an IX, this can be cloud. For a bank, it can be a stock exchange, right? That proximity, sitting next to them, will be important. So, and And the whole idea, this expansion, then you see subsea cable activity. There is more need for diversity. As Equinix, we call ourselves as also digital platform, digital infrastructure platform. And I think that platform word is very important. I heard from our partners too, as a strategic direction going towards there, a platform where business is happening. That can be through an IX, that can be through a data center, allowing and giving opportunities, these building blocks to the businesses to control their network and then make their business, run their business on it. This will be the future.
Yeah.
I'm very much on the, you know.
It is interesting. So some people they say want control. Some of them they say we don't control. Yeah. So now talking about the control now, if even talk about, we are in the infrastructure business. Now we've started seeing the big players, they want the control. That's why they have gone to the cable systems, like Google and others. They're building META, the others are building their own cable system. They want to control. Some of them now, they're for data center perspective. Now, for example, in the Gulf, today is around 300 to 400 megawatt of the data centers. We're expecting 2030 to become 3 to 4 gigawatts. Okay, so that's building. Now, for example, in some of the hyperscalers that I dealt with, they started to build their own, but now they started to give it away and they use others, so they're in cooperation and so on. So they don't want control anymore, because I remember when we were discussing with them, they have specialized in the stand, specialized in air conditioning, specialized in. So when we were talking to them, there are tens of people in the room, so that now they moved away from that. So control on that is there. Some of them they want control, some of them they don't. But cooperation is important. But keep in mind, I was told by one of the hyperscalers, if AI engine needs to work properly, that means you need around minimum of 6 terabits. And one of them, they have around 6 type of engines. And imagine now it's coming from east to west. You be like tsunami of traffic needs to be coming from east to west, maybe passing by maybe Middle East. So it's not diversity of the cable systems. You need diversity of the countries. Today is the Red Sea, you know what's happening. And then the other side, what's happening. So that's why, is it cooperation that's happening now? We are also now in discussion to open the 4th route, which is through Iraq, going to Turkey. That is one, Egypt is the other one, Jordan, Israel is the 3rd one, and so on. So it's important to have corridors. It's important to have those type of cooperation. So that's not just you have to control on that. So it's for whole society needs to have a cooperation in all angles. And so this is important.
Is it a pipe dream to think about a corridor being southwards, like towards Africa?
Yeah, but it's because of the distance, the cost, and that. Keep in mind, in the past, they used to do, in the private companies, they used to build cable systems. Not anymore because of the cost, okay? Unless there are developers, they come and do it and sell fibers and so on. They try to do that. So if it's consortium, there's an interest like to Africa and others, they came up, and yes, that makes sense. But if it's all about economics at the end of the day, yeah? And we have seen, in the region at least, loss of, like electricity, the fibers that they have. It was abandoned in the past. Now they started now cross borders, electricities, now fibers can be used. In Jordan, Ministry of Interior, they sell the fibers, cross borders, now in Egypt, Jordan. So those ones will help to go beyond the normal, type of routes. Even Africa could be another one, but besides, the end of the day is the cost and how we can do that.
Sure. Can I add on that? This is a very interesting topic of the corridors, because we talk about corridors as well. And the way you see, you're right, like not only the number, so the diversity goes with number of subsea cables expanding, but also the capacity they can hold up and push through. And that is very much AI related, I agree with you. So when you look at that, it's Middle East, coming back to our name of our session, it's in a very interesting strategic point. So pursue the map like a flat map. But so when you start with Asia Pacific, so that traffic is passing through or around Middle East. The next thing, you hop on that to Africa cable or the other ones, but to Africa is around the Africa, and east side is terminating in Milan, North Italy. It pushes all the way through, and the west side goes up to Lisbon. So yes, the Europe being full mesh now, it's coming towards south, but that south is becoming also a corridor. Middle East, Mediterranean Sea is becoming a corridor.
Yeah.
And at that equation, the Turkey, which is kind of, on the left you see early Asia, Azerbaijan, and you can go all the way to mid-Asia. That traffic will, normally it comes through Turkey and then hops on to Sofia and then to Frankfurt, again an early European hub. Now it will have a path to go down and hop onto Mediterranean, if all these cable systems work, and then go to Genoa, go to Barcelona, and then Lisbon, and then you are on US. So this thing is really becoming an hop-on, while hubs are increasing, as we see. But those hubs, again, they need to be, there is focus needed for the local interconnection. You need to break out those subsea cables to be properly impactful inland. That's the important part.
Okay, no, I think that's worth sharing. Thank you very much. I'm going to change it up a little bit now. I'm going to give you like 4 or 5 quick fire questions, and then we'll unpack them afterwards. Okay? So you can only choose between A or B in your answers. All right?
I said A or B?
A or B.
Okay.
Okay, ready? The first question I have for you is: growth in the digital sector in the MENA region is driven more by A, consumer demand, or B, business innovation?
Both.
No, Adel.
I will say A.
Consumer
demand, yeah.
Okay, and for you, what do you think?
A consumer demand. No, innovation.
Innovation, business innovation.
Yes.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
I have to work with an or, right?
Yeah.
So-
Okay. We'll come back to that. Okay. The pace of innovation in the Middle East is driven more by government initiatives, that's A, or B, private sector initiatives. Who drives the pace?
Government.
Government, okay.
A, government.
A, government, okay. The biggest challenge in digital transformation in MENA is A, legacy systems, or B, talent shortage. Those are the only two. Might be something else, but...
No, can I say neither?
Neither.
Yeah.
None of those.
Yeah, I'll give you a neither. Neither I don't mind. Both I don't like.
No.
But neither's okay. All right. Interesting to hear what the challenge is then. And lastly, the main driver for digital transformation in the Middle East is economic diversification or technological innovation. The main driver for the transformation. Okay.
I will go for the technological innovation as well. Yeah, we should partner.
But
he's going for economic.
Economical, you go for that, yeah.
You're both going for economic?
I'm going for economical.
Okay, you're going for tech.
Tech.
Okay. All right, let's go back to unpack them. And then after this, you guys can ask questions if there are any questions already. That growth in the digital sector, what made you...
Is innovation?
Yeah, business innovation, yeah.
Because again, take a good example is WhatsApp call. They go, I'm coming from telecom. If there was no WhatsApp call or there was no such those technology innovation in terms of, or cloud or whatever that you talk of this, then we will still stay in the legacy type of engagement in terms of the use of the consumer demand and so on. Now, if I give you a good example from business perspective. Government of Bahrain took the policy of cloud-first policy. Cloud-first policy, that means all government has to be on the cloud, everything. So you don't go through any bid process to buy servers or you buy softwares or oracles or whatever you need. But if it's not available on the cloud, then you have to do the process of RFPs or tenders and so on. Now, imagine that you are IT manager. Do you want to go through this process in the government? So they're way ahead of those ones because of innovation. So that's if you didn't have that. So that's why I believe innovation is driving the rest.
And you thought consumers?
It's interesting because there is a lot of tech in Middle East as well, and there is capacity. People are educated. They are forward-looking. They want the next technological thing.
5G, 6G.
There is appetite for that, right?
People are impatient as well. They want it now.
Yeah, and maybe.
And a small country.
Yeah.
Easy to implement.
And I think it's a bit like one of the things that, in my experience, that made me realize this was gaming is big in Middle East, and that was a pusher for asking for latencies to be put on. I think that was a accelerator as a demand. The gaming community wanted lower latencies, and that gives some push to some of the operators at some point.
So really Gen Z driving that change.
Yeah.
And the pace of innovation, you both said government initiatives are key, are the biggest driver. Legacy systems. The biggest challenge in digital transformation in MENA is either legacy systems or talent shortage. You didn't think either.
Neither.
So what would you say is the biggest challenge?
The cost, the price, the cost of say, connectivity, cost of, okay, maybe if we compare to energy, and that is much cheaper than here. And even in some countries in the Gulf, like Saudi Arabia, if you host even lower than consumer, because they encourage you to go to the data centers. But in some other areas, that is and regulation, definitely. Regulation and the price that may hold some of innovation on us.
Yeah. You'd say the same, Filiz?
I agree. Yeah, some of the services have a higher barrier to be brought there. Even the willingness is there. It takes a bit of a iteration. Yeah.
Okay. And lastly, the main driver for digital transformation in the Middle East is, you both said, economic diversification, because there's so much reliance on oil and oil and gas.
This is the direction from most of the countries in the Gulf, at least, to diversify from where you are on the oil and that. So, for example, now in my country, because it's small, is less oil, it is more of non-like financial and all other stuff. So a lot of focus on economic diversification. For example, the biggest economy in Saudi Arabia, they have put a huge vision, nice vision. If you go to the site, 2030 vision, you will see big, direction or big focus on economic diversification. So I believe that is why I chosen that. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Are there any questions at this point from the audience? Yes, one down here. Let's take that.
I'm inspired by your AB question. So here's a false dichotomy. False dichotomy. Well, you said, the context is, you said there are many countries driving to become the central hub for digital economy. A, they will all be winners. B, they will all be losers.
Neither. So keep in mind, some of them, they have the good cash that they want to do and less population. Say, for example, us is, again, we are one of those, which is 1.5 million population. So what we do to become as a digital hub, so the only option we have to have, I like the word, virtual population. So virtual population where? So where's the virtual population for us? As I said, gaming. So to me, Iraq is a big market. Egypt, because no, they have their own plans, but I'm talking about the Gulf. Iran is another one. There's a big population. So the only big population that we have in the region is Saudi Arabia. Others is 1 million, 2 million. Qatar is 300,000, 500,000. So that, how come you become a hub as you are talking about a few hundred? So the only way to do it is to build the ecosystem, to attract those big players into your country, and then you have a virtual population. So that could be a way to become a hub. So they could be, if they have different markets, Pakistan is another way, it's sometimes geopolitical will help you to become a hub. Yeah.
Super. Adel, Filiz, we have to bring it to a close there.
All
But
right.
thank you
Thank you
very
for
much
having
much for your
us.
time.
indeed.
Yeah, and
Excellent.
congratulations, M6.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time.